In this week's episode, I'm sitting down with a dance powerhouse to talk about how discipline and dedication play a role into your dance career. My guest is spilling the secrets behind how they stay focused, push their limits, and keep their dance career on track. You don't want to miss this one. Ciao, I'm Anna Harsh, professional dancer, author, and host of The Dance Floor, a podcast that explores the power of dance in our lives through personal stories and interviews with experts. Each episode shares life lessons and advice through the art of dance. Learn how dance inspires confidence, fosters connection, and ways to improve your skills. Whether you are a seasoned dancer or brand new to the art, you'll find something that motivates you in this podcast. So grab your dance shoes and join me on The Dance Floor. Welcome back, listeners. Today I have Christy Stoeten, who is a multifaceted dance artist, educator, entrepreneur, and operations manager from Toronto, Canada. Christy, welcome to The Dance Floor.
Thanks. Thanks so much for having me.
Listen, I have been admiring some of your products online on Instagram, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But tell us, how did you get into dance? Was it something that you grew up with, or did something influence you to start?
Yeah, I grew up dancing. I started dancing when I was 3. I'm from a city that's northeast of Toronto, a couple hours northeast of Toronto. It's called Peterborough, Ontario. And I grew up dancing there. I was a competitive dancer. And actually, at the time, there wasn't a huge dance competition scene in Canada. So I did a lot of competing in the States when I was a kid. Yeah.
Nice. So you've been here, and we were chatting before, and I've been to Canada a few times to visit family and tour some of different parts of Canada. Love it. And it's so cool to find dancers just are all the same in a sense, no matter where we come from, isn't it? We just kind of collide and go, yep, that's happened to me. I've had that experience. Your resume just speaks volumes. You've done so much. Can you share with us like where you've taught and things you've done?
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, so I moved to Toronto like for university age, and I studied contemporary and modern dance forms at a school. It's called Dance Arts Institute now. At the time, it was called the School of Toronto Dance Theatre. So that's kind of my Western, modern, and contemporary forms are my specialty, I guess.
Okay.
But I also teach quite a bit of tap and some like I dabble in other forms as well. I've worked at a school here in Toronto for over 20 years called the Swansea School of Dance.
Okay.
And that's kind of my home base. But along with that, I do a bit of work for the Canada's National Ballet School in their community dance program. I've done some work at in universities here in Toronto. And I'm really into community arts. I do a seniors dance class once a week.
Fun.
Yeah. And sometimes I get to teach there's a cancer center here in Toronto called Princess Margaret Hospital. And so I'm trying to develop a program there as well.
That's excellent.
Program. So yeah, those are my main like teaching gigs.
Yeah, you never are too young to start, and you're never too old to dance.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's really for everyone. And I think that's the biggest message we as dancers can say is please join us, come and have some fun. When you get into the more nitty gritty, yes, it gets more technical and challenging and difficult. And you do have to have years of experience to do certain things, but that doesn't mean that everybody can't enjoy it.
Yeah. I think especially in working with older populations, like dance ticks so many boxes, right? Like helping with memory and balance and social connection. Yeah, I just feel, I mean, I can geek out about dance pretty easily, but I just think it really does, it can bring a lot of good. Yeah.
Yeah, it brings a lot of joy. I teach a chair yoga class to a senior group. Can I just say how much fun we have? Like,
Yeah.
I'll play a little soft music and we do our yoga stretches and stuff. But there's a few moments where I'm like, you know what? Let's take a little walk, and we'll walk, just marching with sitting in our chairs. And then I'll teach a little footwork or something that we might, come across in dancing, and they love it. Building that connection, like you said, I always talk about mind, body, and spirit. And that's what really can propel you forward in life, especially as a dancer or long life mover, I should say. The finding the connection in classes is really builds their spirits. And I think movement really does bring communities together. So today I wanted to talk about, those 5 pillars that I set up this season with. I know that you really related to a lot of them, like we as dancers do. I'm going to review for the audience here of what those pillars I talked about in the first episode for this season. That's adaptability, discipline and dedication, collaboration and communication, embracing imperfection, and finally, presence and mindfulness. I know you have a new product out that I think really will help with the second one, that discipline and dedication. And I know time management really sneaks into that as dancers. We are dedicated to our work and our passion, but it's hard to be disciplined about it, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. For everything, right? Like not just dance. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
here on the dance floor, we talk about how dance teaches us life lessons. And I think this really speaks to the heart of getting something accomplished in life. Whether you are a dancer or just, working in an office, whatever you do for a living, I think having discipline and having that dedication really propels you forward to that next step, maybe to that next level of your career. Tell us a little bit about your product and maybe how that can help us with those two items.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I'll just give credit to my boss and my friend. Her name is Michelle DeBrouwer. She runs the dance school that I teach at. She knew that I was already selling like blank kind of dance themed notebooks. And so she approached me and asked me if I would make this accountability notebook for our company dancers. So like dancers who are dancing with a more rigorous, I guess, schedule than some others. So she asked me to do it, but she said you should also try to sell them. So I just have to give her credit for that. So yes, it's a workbook that's for goal setting and tracking feedback, tracking feelings, tracking
your progress, that
progress.
kind of
Exactly. There's space if you want to like record choreography, you could do that. In some of the newer editions, I actually have some like blank spaces where you could record like illustrations. Maybe you think about choreography more in like visually. Exactly.
Yeah, because sometimes you run across a move or you'll create something, you're like, that doesn't have a name, I'm going to draw it. And I do that a lot. Like your arm is like this and it goes up. And then, I'll do a lot of stick figures. Yeah. So I get it. That's really cool.
So yeah, it's just it's broken down by month, and it gives you prompts. So you're not just kind of having to do it yourself completely, but it's like I should look at it as I'm explaining it. That'll make it easier for me.
And it gives the dancers accountability, like, well, how am I doing this month? And where is my progress? And now they can visually see it on their notebook. They can say, well, gosh, last week I was working on this and I got better at it, or my leg got higher, or I feel like have more energy with this combination.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as teachers, we know sometimes somebody new can give you the same note, but for whatever reason, the way they say it, or maybe because it's a new voice, it sinks in better. So I'm hopeful that if we're keeping track of some of this feedback, maybe we start to like connect those dots, or maybe like feedback that you get in one dance form, you start to see how it might relate to another dance form. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to it's funny you mentioned this. Years ago, I used to give 5 minutes or so at the end of my class for any of the dancers that wants to take a note, write something down. Even if it's a piece of choreography, they're like, gosh, I could not remember that. So I'm going to write it down. Or I really liked this ballet exercise at the bar. I want to write that down. I think if we give students a chance at the end of a class or end of a rehearsal, maybe even just to tap into more senses, to physically write something down is different than typing on your phone or typing on your computer. It's a more physical action that helps us remember. And that really can go far for a student.
I think so too. And it's been really nice that I've had some support, and there have been a few dance schools that have like purchased a block of books and I've branded them for them, and they've incorporated it into their programming this year. So like if they have competitive dancers, I think they're either encouraging them to use it or putting aside, like you say, like 5 minutes at the end of class, like take out your dance notebook, like let's do this together.
So let's break it down. So discipline, this notebook is going to help us with that discipline because you visually see it every month or every day, like a calendar, and it keeps you on track. And I think that's where, we have that discipline. It can become like a habit for yourself every day and a good task to remember to do so that, you do see your progress. And I think that would push students their progress a little further.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Oh, me too.
Upset. Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, I did this when I was in high school, like myself. I would just take a blank notebook, like you were saying, and just try to remember some things. But this is really, you've outlined it and you have, ways that we can really follow along and not be in the dark about it.
Yeah. I hope so. Yeah. And so like beyond like the technical side of things, and I guess this touches on some of your other pillars. Every month there's like a mindfulness moment that I've outlined. So it'll walk you through some sort of an exercise that can help you either prepare for class or maybe prepare for performance or maybe prepare for a math test, just something to sort of center.
That's true because once we walk into the studio, you really have to have a clean slate with your mindfulness. You can't bring in all of yesterday's news into your classroom because it really will mess with you. It messes with your brain, messes with your body, your movements. We really have to take that moment to just breathe, focus, right? And I think that's part of the discipline that we were talking about earlier. You have to have that discipline in your training and not only physical training, but mental training too. That's what you're touching upon is that mindfulness. It's so important for everybody.
Yeah. And I think important, the book also like addresses being like a team player and like how you're supporting your group and that those things work hand in hand. And then there's also this other side of mindfulness that I'm certainly not an expert, but like as someone that's interested in like contemporary performance, like being present on stage and how like that there's a whole other side of it there that it's like helpful as a performer, right?
Yeah, I talk about that in my second book that if you are present enough to be aware of yourself dancing and your partner, because that can be dangerous if you are not aware of what's happening at the present moment and your thoughts just go somewhere else. You also have to be aware and present enough to relate to the audience, because that's huge, especially at competitions. Like if your audience isn't giving you feedback and you're not giving them something to indulge in, think about, see and feel, we're not dancing then, right? We're not telling our stories. We're not emotional about anything. So those are all very important as a dancer. And I think, again, that discipline, we have to train. We have to train and practice. And like you were saying earlier when we were chatting, writing books and having products out as a new person that's like doing them, it's hard. It's hard. But we all start as dancers somewhere. And as you grow into your career, I think you and I both can speak to this, your career changes. Maybe you don't compete anymore, but now you teach. But once we're done teaching, we want to be able to leave those things behind. What did we learn? What can we tell the next generation? Christy, I love that you're doing these notebooks. What piece of advice would you give that next generation that's like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. I don't know if I can do this.
Commit to this project in this notebook. Well, I think that it's fun. I mean, I am a what are they calling me? A geriatric millennial.
I think you could decorate it too. I think that would be really fun. And maybe you could trade notebooks with your friend in class and have your friend say, what did you find one good thing that I did in class today? Will you write it in my notebook? I would love to see that trading, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like a yearbook idea. I know that's old school, like you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, because everything's so digital now, of course, there's part as like a business owner or whatever that you're like, is this even like, is this obsolete or is anyone interested in it?
No, I love a notebook. I love a notebook.
I do feel like it's great. You can throw it in your dance bag or if you have a locker, like they're pretty small. And yeah, that you're right. Like sharing with someone else. I'm really curious for people who have purchased them. Like I would love to know feedback from them or like maybe one day there could be some sort of an interactive element where people could share their feedback or share their progress or their challenges together.
Give us your title on Instagram so we can find these notebooks.
Yeah, it's at Notebooks for Dancers.
Easy to remember, y'all.
Good.
Notebooks for dancers. Let's not make life complicated here. And I love it. I think anything that's tactile and makes us use other senses You're
Yeah.
seeing it, you're feeling it, you're writing in it and sharing it. That touches upon that communication and community that we all really want to have as dancers.
And I think that I'm sure there is science behind this that, if you receive feedback and you write it down,
You're going to remember it.
you're going to remember it more. Yeah. At least
Absolutely.
for some of us, certainly for me. And with choreography as well. I know if I can like write down a piece of choreography, then I have it. But I'm not the best at like picking it up and remembering it.
We all learn differently. Some people can just hear vocabulary and then be able to perform the piece of choreography. Some dancers have to visually, see it demonstrated several times.
Yeah.
Like I'm a visual learner. I try to be an audio learner, but sometimes I'm a visual learner.
Yeah.
You can combine that and then you're writing it down. You've locked it in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You've locked it in.
Yeah, definitely.
Christy, I'm so excited for these notebooks. I know I'm geeking out about it too, because, when I was in grade school, I used to love collecting stickers and I would have sticker notebooks.
Yeah.
Girl.
My friend Jen actually
stickers.
told me we need some stickers to go with it. Yeah. What stickers do you see? Like stickers that would be like encouragement stickers or like dance specific stickers? What do you see?
Both. Encouragement for sure. Like you can do this or way to go or bought ma that day away or whatever. I don't know. Come up with some cute phrases. I love that idea. And maybe some stars or dreamy stickers that are like clouds, rainbows, stars, unicorns. I'm in. I'm in.
Thanks, Anna.
I am going to get one for myself because you know what? I think even as teachers, we too need that discipline and dedication. I mean, I think teachers have the dedication part down, but maybe we needed to be reminder. I have a little bowl on my desk here of like little sayings. Like when the day gets meh, I look at my bowl of sayings.
Oh, that's nice.
Maybe your book can be, I looked back at yesterday and you know what? You crushed that across the floor combination, girl. You did it.
That's right. And you know what? We didn't really touch on that, but there is space like to talk about your feelings and your accomplishments. It's not just about like how to get a higher leg. And I think your pillars are important too when we're remembering, like if we're talking about growth as a dancer, like of course technique is important, but there's all these other aspects that are also really, really important. And I think sometimes as young dancers, it can be like, what's your goal? Oh, the splits or whatever. And it's like, okay, but there's more to it than that.
Right. I mean, and I know, and they always look for the end result. Like, well, I don't have my split yet, so there's no pizza party coming my way. But listen, it's more, maybe we can look at the journey. Like today you got an inch further, or you're a little stronger, or look at your leg really developing into a beautiful muscle. These small achievements along the way to whatever their goal is way more important. And I know when you're younger, it's hard to see that.
Totally.
Dancers, listen up. Christy's got this great notebook that's going to help you achieve that. And I think, really propel you in a different way for your dance career. I do. I'm a believer. I want stickers. I'm going to get my own notebook. Christy, tell us, how can we get one? How can we order one? How much are they? Like, how can we do this?
So I'm in Canada. They're available on Amazon. So you can get them on Amazon.com. I actually don't know off the top of my head what the price is in US.
It'll be different. It'll be different for different countries, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So
everybody affordable.
That's right. Everybody around the world, really, that's listening. We have 22 countries listening in. So go to your own Amazon.com, whatever it is in your country, and pick up one of these notebooks and start tracking your progress and making that your discipline. And I think you'll find that you will be more dedicated to your passions, right? To your dance career, your dance classes, and maybe choreography too. Young choreographers listening, that are graduating from college with their dance degree and want to really take their career to that next level. And I think this is a great tool that we need in our dance bag.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I hope so. I really appreciate you having me and reaching out to chat about it.
Yeah. Well, okay. One more time. Tell us your IG, your Instagram, so we can chat with you too.
So it's at Notebooks for Dancers, and in my bio, you'll be able to get to the Amazon site from there. But if you are just searching it up on Amazon, just search Dance Goals Workbooks and you'll see it.
I really wish this would have existed when I was younger.
Yeah, we could have been pen pals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just used a plain notebook and it really wasn't that fabulous. But the fact that you have prompts and it's a guide,
Yeah,
it's really, it helps us guide every month. I love that.
thank you.
And you know what? Dancers, if I were you, I would buy one for different dance styles because you train differently for different dance styles and you have different goals in those classes. So think about that. And Easter's around the corner. Maybe that's in your Easter basket. Christy, thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing your wisdom with us and your new creation. Yes, keep creating.
Likewise, this is so great. Like how lucky for your students and for everyone that you're doing this and connecting with people and sharing your experience. So thank you.
Awesome. I appreciate you being here today. Everyone, I hope you got something out of this conversation and I hope you go and get Christy's notebook. That's really going to help all of us move forward. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm your host, Anna Harsh. And until next time, keep moving on the dance floor.